I started keeping audio logs about 6 months ago. Nothing dramatic, just voice memos on my phone. Notes for work mostly, reminders, little observations I didn't want to forget. Sometimes I'd record ambient sound while I worked late at night, the hum of the refrigerator, rain against the window. I liked having that background noise when I reviewed my notes. It helped me remember the context, the feeling of the moment. I'm a technical writer. I work from home. My sleep schedule drifted years ago, and now I do most of my work between 10 at night and 4 in the morning. The house is quieter then, fewer distractions. I've lived alone since the divorce, and honestly, the solitude suits me. Or it did. 3 weeks ago, I was reviewing a recording from late September. I'd been documenting some product specifications for a client, just talking through the details out loud while I typed. Standard stuff. But when I played it back, I heard something in the background that made me stop. A door closing, not loudly, just the soft click of the latch, then the subtle creak of hinges settling. It happened about 4 minutes into the recording, right after I'd finished explaining a technical diagram. The problem is, I live alone, and I was the only one home that night. I remembered that session clearly. I'd been sitting at my desk in the study with the door open. The hallway light was on. I would have noticed if a door closed. I would have heard it. But there it was, plain as anything captured in the recording. I told myself it was the wind. Maybe a draft pulled one of the bedroom doors shut. That happens sometimes. Old house, uneven floors. Doors don't always stay where you put them. I let it go. 2 days later, I was transcribing another recording, this one from early October, and I heard my own voice say something I didn't remember saying. The recording was supposed to be about database architecture. I was explaining table relationships, foreign keys, that sort of thing. But about 7 minutes in, I paused mid-sentence, and then I said, very clearly, "Someone standing in the driveway." There was a brief silence. Then I continued talking about databases as if nothing had happened. I sat there, headphones on, staring at the waveform on my screen. I replayed that section 4 times. Same thing every time. My voice, my cadence. But I had no memory of saying it. None at all. I checked my notes from that night. Nothing about anyone in the driveway, no mention of an interruption. And I would have written it down if I'd seen something. I'm meticulous about that. I went back through more recordings after that, dozens of them. Most were fine, just me talking, ambient noise, the usual background hum. But every so often, there'd be something small, something wrong. In one recording, I heard myself get up and walk across the room, even though I clearly remembered sitting in my chair the entire time. I heard the floorboards creak. I heard my chair roll slightly as I stood. But the strange thing was, my voice didn't change. I kept talking, steady and uninterrupted, as if I were still sitting down. In another, I heard the faint sound of the front door opening, the metallic scrape of the deadbolt, the slight groan of the hinges. But I never left the house that night. I'm certain of it. I was working on a deadline. I didn't even stand up for 3 hours straight. At first, I thought maybe the recordings were glitching, picking up sounds from earlier in the day, somehow layering them over new audio, but that doesn't make sense. These aren't edited files. They're raw recordings, single takes, no overlaps. Then I started noticing the details, little things in the background that shouldn't be there. In one recording from last week, I heard the kitchen faucet running, just for a few seconds, a thin, steady stream of water hitting the stainless steel sink. I was talking about user authentication protocols at the time, not paying attention to anything else, but the sound was there, clear and distinct. I didn't use the kitchen that night. I remember because I'd skipped dinner. I was too focused on work. The kitchen was dark, the faucet was off, but the recording says otherwise. Last night, I decided to run a test. I set up my phone on the desk, started a new recording, and just sat there. I didn't move, didn't speak. I wanted to see if anything would happen without me doing anything at all. I recorded for 30 minutes, complete silence on my end. I barely breathed. When I played it back this morning, I heard my own voice about 12 minutes in. Quiet. Almost a whisper. I said, "It's colder in here than it should be." I never said that. I didn't say anything. I sat there in complete silence for the entire recording, but the voice was mine. I've been going through older recordings now, ones from months ago. And I'm starting to notice something worse. The inconsistencies aren't random. They're building towards something. In a recording from July, I heard myself mention a name I didn't recognize at the time. I was in the middle of explaining cloud storage solutions, and I just casually said, "I'll need to ask Derek about that." I don't know anyone named Derek. I didn't then either. But 2 weeks ago, someone named Derek joined the client's team. I was introduced to him on a video call. When I heard his name, something in my chest tightened. I didn't know why. I went back and found that July recording, listened to it again. And this time I realized something. I hadn't been explaining cloud storage. I'd been explaining the exact issue Derek would bring up in our meeting 2 weeks ago. Word for word. I don't understand how that's possible. There are others. Small predictions embedded in recordings from weeks or months ago. References to problems I hadn't encountered yet. Mentions of people I hadn't met. Observations about weather patterns that hadn't happened. It's like the recordings aren't capturing what I said. They're capturing what I'm gonna say. Or maybe they're documenting something else entirely. Some version of me that exists a few steps ahead, or a few steps to the left. I don't know. I stopped making new recordings 4 days ago. But I can't stop listening to the old ones. I keep finding things I missed. Sentences buried in the background. Sounds that don't belong. This morning I found a recording from 2 nights ago. I didn't make it. I know I didn't. But it's there on my phone, time-stamped and saved. It's 14 minutes long. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm sitting here now, headphones in my hand, staring at the playback button. Part of me doesn't want to know what's on it, but part of me already does, because I can guess what I'm going to hear. I'm going to hear myself, sitting in this chair, talking about this exact moment, describing the way the light looks coming through the blinds, the way my hands are shaking slightly, the sound of my own breathing. And then I'm going to hear what happens next, what I'm about to do, what I'm about to say. Or maybe I'll hear something I've already done, something I've forgotten, something the recordings remember better than I do. I think the recordings have always been ahead of me. I just didn't notice until now. I'm going to press play.